When you bounce your leg at your desk, do you actually know what your brain is trying to do? Yes, people think it's just anxiety, too much caffeine, or even bad manners. But behind that simple, sometimes annoying habit, there's something deeper that most people miss. It's actually one of the most fascinating protective things your nervous system can do. And if you try to force it to stop, which most people do, you might burn out your nervous system and shut down your brain's natural focus engine. Let's start with what that bouncing leg really means. Have you ever been sitting in a quiet room, maybe a meeting or a classroom, and suddenly realized your leg is going a mile a minute? You quickly press your hand against your thigh to stop it, feeling a wave of embarrassment. Society has conditioned us to believe a very specific narrative. Most people think it's about hidden anxiety. They assume you're nervous, impatient, or that you simply lack self-control. But here's what's actually happening. Your brain operates on a spectrum of stimulation. When you are forced to sit still in an environment that isn't giving your brain enough input, your neurological baseline starts to drop. You start to zone out. To prevent your brain from essentially falling asleep with your eyes open, your nervous system hijacks your leg. It creates a rhythmic, repetitive physical movement to generate its own internal stimulation. You aren't broken, and you aren't necessarily anxious. Your body is literally fighting to keep your mind sharp. And by the way, if you ever find yourself bouncing your leg so hard that it actually keeps you awake at night, don't brush it off. We'll get to what that really means at the end, and it's something most people wish they'd understood sooner. To truly understand this, we have to look at the hard data. A 2015 study published in the Journal of Abnormal Child Psychology looked at individuals with ADHD and hyperactive tendencies. For decades, doctors tried to force these individuals to sit perfectly still, thinking the movement was a distraction. But the researchers found the exact opposite. The study revealed that when these individuals were allowed to fidget and bounce their legs, their performance on complex cognitive tasks actually improved. What makes this even more powerful is what it means for you. When you bounce your leg, you are subconsciously operating a cognitive pacemaker. Your brain recognizes a drop in attention and sends a signal to your largest muscle groups to move. That movement sends feedback straight back up your spinal cord, waking up your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for problem solving and focus. Think about that for a second. Your body is so desperate to help you succeed in that boring meeting that it is doing the heavy lifting for your mind. But how exactly does a moving leg translate into a focused mind? Here's where the neuroscience gets fascinating. When you engage in a repetitive, rhythmic movement, like tapping a pen, chewing your lip, or bouncing your knee, you are tapping into your brain's secret pharmacy. Sitting still for long periods causes a drop in dopamine and noradrenaline. These are the neurochemicals responsible for motivation, alertness, and feeling rewarded. When those levels drop, you feel brain fog. You feel sluggish. By bouncing your leg, you are forcing a microdose of dopamine to be released into your system. You are self-medicating without taking a single pill. It's a chemical survival tactic. Your nervous system is manufacturing the exact neurochemicals you need to survive a modern, understimulating environment. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who actually want to understand what their brain is secretly doing. To really grasp why your body does this, we have to look backward, hundreds of thousands of years backward. Evolutionary biologists have observed that the human body was never designed to sit in an ergonomic mesh chair for 8 hours a day. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors walked anywhere from 10 to 15 miles a day. Our nervous systems evolved in a world of constant motion, scanning the horizon for predators, tracking prey, and physically navigating the wild. When you sit perfectly still in a cubicle under fluorescent lights, your primal brain gets confused. To your ancient nervous system, absolute stillness usually meant one of two things. You were hiding from a predator, or you were dying. Here's what society gets wrong about this. Bouncing your leg is an evolutionary ghost. It is your ancient survival instinct adapting to the modern world. Your brain is saying, we are alive, we are moving, we are ready. It's a brilliant biological workaround to keep a body built for the wilderness functioning inside a concrete box. This explains exactly why this habit only triggers in very specific contexts. Have you ever noticed that your leg doesn't bounce when you're in the middle of an intense conversation? Or when you're playing a fast-paced video game? Or when you're dealing with a real-life crisis? Your leg only bounces when you are trapped in the understimulation zone, a long commute, a slow lecture, staring at a spreadsheet. Your brain requires a strict baseline of stimulation to function. When the outside world fails to provide it, your internal world must generate it. You aren't distracted. You are highly attuned to your environment, and your nervous system is actively compensating for the lack of input. You are balancing the scale. This brings us to the deepest truth about your subconscious habits. For your entire life, you've probably been told to sit still, to stop fidgeting, to pay attention. But here's what's actually happening. Your bouncing leg is the ultimate proof that your brain refuses to give up. When faced with a mind-numbing task, a lesser brain would simply power down. It would zone out, fall asleep, or completely disengage, but not yours. Your brain found a loophole. It recruited your muscular system to keep the lights on in your cognitive centers. This is what society gets completely wrong about you. Fidgeting isn't a sign of a weak mind. It is the hallmark of a highly efficient, fiercely adaptable nervous system that will do whatever it takes to keep you engaged with the world around you. Remember earlier when I said that bouncing your leg so hard it keeps you awake is a warning sign? This is what I was talking about. While daytime bouncing is a superpower for focus, there is a dark side. If you find that your legs ache, tingle, or have an irresistible, uncomfortable urge to move the second you lie down to sleep, you are no longer dealing with a focus engine. Neuroscientists call this restless leg syndrome, or RLS, and it is a massive red flag from your body. When the behavior becomes extreme and disrupts your rest, it's often a sign of severe iron deficiency in the brain, a dysfunction in your dopamine receptors, or chronic nervous system burnout. If your leg forces you to move when you desperately want to rest, your brain is sounding an alarm. Listen to your body. Check your iron and magnesium levels. Practice deep vagus nerve breathing, inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling slowly for 8, to manually signal to your primal brain that the hunt is over and it is finally safe to power down. So, when you bounce your leg at your desk, do you actually know what your brain is trying to do? It isn't just burning off extra coffee. It isn't a sign that you're too anxious to function. That's not a weird nervous tick. That's your brain protecting you. That's evolutionary brilliance keeping a primal hunter awake and focused in a modern world. And that simple habit, it was never a flaw. It's your mind working perfectly, and you should never feel guilty for it.